they hate. And I know better than to listen to the people who are calling us names. I can feel the sunlight shining.
Well, good morning. It's Tuesday, October 22nd, 2024, and welcome to episode 790 of the Lots Project morning show, where the coffee's strong, the opinions are stronger, and everything's always filter free. I'm Brian, your host, and today I'm enjoying a Silver Bullet blend from foodforestfarms.com, where you can get 10% off the discount code LOTS10, LOTS10, get you 10% off at Food Forest Farms, and the shipping's always free. While you're there, check out the C4 Club and all the benefits that come with that. Today, I'm going to be talking about a camping trip gone bad, a little bit about Bitcoin and Mr. Saylor's comments the other day. My new podcast, Moving Along, give a little updates on that and a little bit more. First, let's head over into the live chat, see who's hanging out in the coffee crew, grab a cup and hang out for about an hour. Good morning. Good morning. How is everyone this morning? Hope you're doing well. Good morning, Jim, over on Noster. Thanks for the zap. Bright and early. Missed you yesterday. Hope everything was going well. How is recovery effort going in Florida, Jim? Eyes on the ground. I know Pip said he's back to just working and everything. Did Florida skip a beat with Milton coming through, or was it like it's media blackout as far as I can see anyway, but that's just normal for Florida. Good morning, John Palmer over in the main feed. Good morning and good day to you, sir. Jamie over at Off Grid Ping. Good morning to you. Thanks. I eventually got that picture you sent last night. I think it was like 8 o'clock or something. Gotta love the interwebs and the cell phone connections here in rural Tennessee. So hope everybody's doing well. Good morning over on Noster. See, there's a few people popping in. Thanks for stopping in over there. Yeah. Silver Bullet blend in the cup this morning. It is fantastic as always. Oh man, got a couple more bags of Silver Bullet in my C4 shipment this month, so I'm excited about that. Wrong name. Hello, sir, over in the vertical feed. Thanks for stopping in. Appreciate you. If you'd hit that like and subscribe. We hit this up every Monday through Friday morning, 6 a.m. Central, 6 to 7 ish, and we talk about all sorts of different stuff. Basically whatever pops into my messed up brain. But I'm into off-grid living. We're full-time RVers at the moment and building an off-grid property here in Tennessee in conjunction with a partner of ours. And I talk about Bitcoin. I talk about interesting news articles I find along the way, here, there, and the other thing, and whatever pops into my head, and then whatever the audience wants to chime in also. So drop a comment over there on Noster if you're out there. Jim says we got 16 inches of flooding in the shed, but I was prepared. Saw a tornado. That was fun and scary. I saw that video you made of the I saw that video you made of the tornado. That is kind of scary. I've experienced, and I think with Corey also, experienced seeing tornadoes form in Minnesota, and that is definitely close enough. Close enough for if I can see them, I'm close enough. Jonas Al-Hassini, I'm sure I butchered your name, and said, "What's popping in your messed up brain right now?" What's popping in my brain right now? I don't know. I at this very moment is how comfortable I was in bed this morning while I was laying there. I was telling my wife that you ever have those mornings where you're the perfect temperature. You're just a little tired still. You lay there and you don't want to get out of bed. You're not too hot, you're not too cold, you're just like the perfect the middle bear there, not too big, not too small, not too hot, not too cold. And you lay there and you think about going back to sleep. You know you can't, you have things to do, but it's just like I can't move. I'm almost paralyzed. Good morning, Hunter, over on Twitch. Thanks for popping in, my Twitch guy. And hello from India. I'm not even going to try to say your name. Alika Nalia Putri. Is that close? Is that close? John Palmer said that's me today. It was like perfect in here. I don't know what the temperature outside was. I don't know what the temperature inside was. I had a fan on. I was like kind of covered up by a blanket, and I was just like, I woke up and I was like, I'm so content right now. I'm so content. Jonas says that's Indonesia, not India. The flag. What flag? I don't know what flag you're talking about. But anyway, yeah, it was perfect this morning. It was perfect. So anyway, yesterday I got out to Delinquent Scully. I had some intentions for the week were to get the trees knocked down by the cabin to get the Starlink signal opened up, or the sky for the Starlink to get its signal opened up, and then also get the trees, the remainder of the trees finally knocked down at our building site. And so I made it out yesterday. I had 13 product videos I needed to make. Got a little behind with SRF, and so SRF work days. And then I also got a dump of products all at once. So, well, hello to you in Indonesia. Thanks for watching. I have a large contingent of listeners in the Philippines. So shout out to the Philippines and Mike Loco, the Philippine nomad that has pushed my show over there. I appreciate that. And to all my Filipino listeners, I appreciate all of you. But basically I got backed up on my product videos, making them. So yesterday I said, all right, I'm gonna get all these videos knocked out, and then, well, at least recorded. Not I couldn't get them all edited and all that, and that would have been a long day. But I was gonna get them all recorded, get them all in the bag, so that I could work on recording in the evening, or editing in the evenings, and my spare time at the computer. And then work on dropping trees. I had no idea how much I was going to get done, because I get out there a little later after doing the show prep and after all the shit I got to do around here, and then I drive out there, and so I sat down. I got the videos knocked out pretty quick. I was happy about that. I don't think they necessarily were the best videos I've made, but some of the products were hard to like. Bandages. I got bandages from Medca. Basically cohesive bandages, like the self-adhesive Ace bandage type. What do you say about them? They work. They work. I took one out, I wrapped it around my arm, and it worked. So there were a bunch of videos kind of like that. I pounded through them. And so I grabbed the chainsaw and I started dropping trees. I got the whole area knocked down. So I am pretty much thinking that the show is going to attempt to be live from Delinquent Scully on Friday morning. So Corey has Friday off, like I mentioned yesterday. So I'm going to haul out the computer and a bare bones setup for getting the show up and going, and we'll give her a shot. And it might have some interruptions, it might have some delay. We'll have to work through that, and we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Over in the vertical feed, I still got a question. What do you think about what's happening now in the Middle East? If you are comfortable talking about it, don't give a shit. You really want to know what I think about what's going on in the Middle East? It's the same shit that's been going on in the Middle East for thousands of years, and it's never going to change. And if it affects me in any way, it's going to be I'm going to have more of my tax dollars stolen to send there and waste on both and funding both sides, or B, it's going to start a nuclear war and the fallout is going to kill me. So I really don't fucking care because it doesn't change anything I do on a day-to-day basis. Pip says it's starting to get cool down there. Good morning, Mr. Pippin. Take the ride. Good morning to you, sir. Thanks for stopping in again. Rewilder Life. Thanks for popping in. Got an assault rifle ban ad. Oh wow, they're really going to change hearts and minds in this audience, I'm sure. Good morning, Jim. Heading on over to the main feed over here. Pip says, do a review of a razor knife and then the bandages. I cut my middle finger here, Pip. Could you check it out? It's right there, up right by the knuckle. You see it? See right there? Rewilder Life says we're taking Friday off to do some tractor work and move plants. Fantastic. Good fun. Hey, Jeremiah, thanks for stopping in. Appreciate you over there in the vertical feed. And Jim says Pip, he wants to see Pip's suggestion. Jim doesn't know. Actually, Pip, I have the culprit right here in front of me. Weird. Imagine that. So out at work days, I got that little Edge XT. I think it's Edge. I just covered up the label. It's like the Edge XT. It's a little multi-tool razor knife keychain, and I'm going to be super careful with it this morning because I don't want to cut myself in the middle of the show because it sliced deep. It sliced deep. Hold on one second. So I had one, and I was using it. I did a review. It's this one. It's this one. I showed you guys on the show at one point. It's really shiny and silver. But during work days, I got a package. Delivery. Jamie was kind enough to bring it back to the property. He had the afternoon off. I opened it up. I was like, "Oh, cool! Look at that, another one." They just randomly sent me another of these. I don't know if they thought that they never sent the one that they said they were going to, or I don't know why they sent me another one. Maybe they liked my video, or I don't know. But I took it out and I was showing a few people, Pip included, and this thing. It has the knife part in it is X-Acto blade. You can see this. You can see the X-Acto blade. And one of the things that the instructional video, when you go to the site and they have an instructional video on how to change the blade, where all the tools are on this, because it's got a bunch of different little tools. It's really handy, actually. And so one of the things that they warn about is these plastic slides on it. Sorry, I got a dog hair in my nose. These plastic slides, until you use them, there's pretty tight tolerances on them. And until you use them enough to get them worn down, they don't slide real easy, especially when they get to the locked position. So this long one that shoots the blade out, it will lock up in the top. And then this little other black one, you can see it there, is a lock, an actual lock to keep the blade from going in and out. Well, I had just cut my fingernails earlier that day, so they're soft, like when you trim them back and they're really soft on the edge. I was like, "Hey, Pip, check this out." So this thing, like, you gotta really push it hard into the edge there, and it'll lock in. And as I did it, my fingernail let loose and my hand swiped across the fucking open blade and just laid my finger open. I was like, "Yeah, and it's really sharp." It's really sharp. So I had to grab a paper towel and do the old just hold it on there and have a bright red paper towel around my finger. It was pretty impressive. It's sharp. It is definitely sharp. And I stabbed myself in the chest with it the other day too. I'm really not. I'm guessing at some point Corey's going to be like, no more sharp objects for you. Probably already past that point, but she needs to let me open boxes and stuff. And there's Jeremiah right there in the full feed. Thanks for stopping in over here too, man. So there's that. Jeremiah says we're going to take your sharp knife privileges away. For sure. I mean, I cut myself so often that I don't even notice anymore. And it's been my whole life. I guess it started early, and it was one of these blades. Like, seriously? I'll tell you a little story real quick. When I was a kid, and this is I guess this would be typical of the 80s, really. And it's a good perspective on how things have changed. I don't think Canadian Farms. Hold on, before I get into this, Canadian Farmstead over in the vertical feed says, "What do you think about what's happening in Central America? If you're comfortable talking about it, what is happening in Central America? I don't know." Goku son, hey, hi, how's it going? Be sure to hit that like and subscribe over there. Appreciate you stopping in. And Canadian Farmstead, what do you think about what's happening in Canada right now? If you feel comfortable talking about it. Goku says, "I love your eyes." Whoa. Thank you. It's the blue hat that brings out the blue in the eyes. Jeremiah says, "I cut the tendon on my left middle finger the other week." Oh God, that's not good. Tendons are bad. Cutting tendons are bad. So anyway, I was a kid. I was probably single digits. And I liked putting models together. Canadian Farmstead asks, what do you think about what's happening in Southeast Asia right now? Only if you're comfortable talking about it. And he says, "I have super pretty eyes, by the way." Thank you. Anyway, I was single digits, and I liked, I was really into making models, like model cars, model planes, things like that. You get the kit in the box. I think everybody was in that time frame. I shouldn't say everybody. I was probably a little geek or nerd or whatever you want to talk about, but I liked putting models together. And so as you advance in the models, you get the pieces that you got to actually cut out, the plastic and stuff. And so some of the supplies you get paint, and you get glue, and you get what they call a model knife. Basically, they're handing you a scalpel, a surgeon's scalpel. And I was like 6 or 7, 8. Maybe I was 10. I don't even, it's so long ago, I don't really remember. I do have marks to prove it, though. And so my parents got me these tools to make the models. Basically an X-Acto blade on, the silver handle X-Acto blade. And they had their friends over to play cards one night, and they set me in the other room and said, John Palmer loved models. Great. Now I'm in the same category as John Palmer. Check that. I hated building models. My parents were making me do it. No. So my parents' friends came over. They bought me a new model to keep me busy while they played cards. They like to play euchre and Trivial Pursuit and all sorts of that shit. But people used to actually get together and have game nights. And so they grabbed me a model and they set me in the other room and they said, "Hey, here you go. Occupy yourself." You know, we didn't have iPads, TVs, and Hunter says still don't know how to play Pinochle. I do know how to play Pinochle, by the way. Canasta, Pinochle, things like that. John Palmer says the kind you put together and the ones in the magazine. The Sears catalog. Were you into the Sears catalog when you were into putting models together? Better Homes and Gardens. No, wait. Canadian Farmstead says, I love the models for the glue. I mean, that's how I got where I'm at now. Anyway, so they got me a model. They set me in the living room. I was looking at the instructions. I was always good for reading the instructions. Still am. Ask Corey and her family. I read instructions for everything. And everybody always busts my balls about reading the instructions for shit. And then when it doesn't work or it fucking breaks, I'm the first person they call. They're like, well, you read the instructions. You should know how to fix it. If you read the instructions, you know how to fix it too. And so I was looking at the model. I had the instructions out. I was getting ready to take all the pieces, you know, how the pieces would come in the mold, and they had all the little tabs. You had to cut the tabs apart, trim the edges off, and get them ready to put together. And so my parents had just started their game. I was unpacking everything, and I went to cut. I was cutting the pieces off, and I cut, and the knife slipped, and you know, razor knife, you don't feel shit. And I'm looking at the instructions, not paying attention to what I'm doing, and all of a sudden there's big red drops all over the instructions. And I'm like, I think I might have cut myself. Weird. I don't know. You won't be able to see it. Yeah, I don't think. Oh yeah, well maybe. There's a scar. No, this is gonna be fun backwards. I'm retarded. There's a scar that goes from the edge of my thumbnail down to the middle, over to the bone and down into the bone. I had sliced my finger. I had been pushing on the knife so hard. I hit my finger and the knife went over to the nail, went down the edge of the nail, and then over to my thumb bone, and then down the thumb bone a little bit, and just laid it open. And I was a little in shock. So I walked out into the other room, into the kitchen where my parents were playing cards with their friends. And I'm like, Mom. She's like, go away. I'm like, Mom, go away. We're busy. Go play with your bottle. I'm like, Mom. She turns around and looks at my thumb and she's like, oh my God. So she takes me over to the sink. And this shit didn't hurt until she put it in the sink and turned the fucking water on. So she starts washing it out. We were able to get it back together with steri strips. I didn't lose half my thumb, but yeah. I look back on it as an adult and go, what were we doing in the 80s? And it wasn't just my parents. I'm not saying it was my parents that did that. Like, I know plenty of parents that gave their kids shit that probably shouldn't have. And I don't know if a scalpel was is the best, but I guess, you know, survival of the fittest and all of that. I'm still cutting myself with them today, and I'm still standing, so that's good. Hunter says only the strong and coddled survive. Rewilder Life says, the good old days when you never went to the doctor and you played with knives and fire, right? Canadian Farm says, I played with lawn darts. I think we still have lawn darts in my parents' attic at their house. I think there is still a set up there. Don't tell them. We used to throw them at each other. We didn't try to get them in the ring. We tried to get them in to each other, and it was kind of a game of chicken where you lost points if you moved. So you stood there and let people chuck lawn darts at you. And if you were chicken and moved because you didn't want to be impaled by it, you lost. Off-grid ping says I had models and sharp-ass X-Acto knives as a child. All right. I mean, I would see mom, dad. It was okay. You didn't do anything wrong. Canadian Farm says that I was smart enough not to be the goalie. Right. Did anybody else fire Roman candles at each other? Did you play Roman Candle Wars and Bottle Rocket Wars and shit like that? Like we did. And then that wasn't fun enough. Like we used to run around in the field, out in the field and fire Roman candles at each other. And then we got the brilliant idea to run up and get up into trees and shoot them at each other while we were up in trees. What could go wrong? What could go wrong? Never in the fall when there were piles of leaves underneath the trees where easily a firework could fall in and start a major blaze. The Mott Way over the vertical feed says yes, along with BB gun wars, right? Yeah, BB gun. Did anybody else play chicken with the BB gun, the air pump BB gun, where you'd pass it around the circle, and first time around you'd pump it once and you'd shoot it into your thigh, and then next time around you'd pump it twice, and whoever lasted the longest won. Or was that just me and my stupid friends? Rewiler Life says that we used to make fireworks out of the car parts and black powder. We used to make flare bombs out of pool shock and .3 brake fluid. That's fun. That's fun for sure. Canadian Farm said totally did Roman candle fights in the woods at the local park. Always waited for after the rain though. Rewilder Life says my brother still has a BB in his leg. I have a friend that ended up having to go to the hospital and get one removed because we were playing the how many pump games around the circle, and he won. And the BB actually went through his jeans and lodged in his leg, but he didn't want to tell his mom what he was doing. And so he just left it in there. And by the time he was in pain enough to tell her and get the ass kicking that he was going to get, they had to take him to the fucking emergency room and have it removed. Take Their Eye says, yep, I built the car models and Roman candle fights, took a hike in the woods and didn't tell anyone. So parents called the cops to come look for my brother and me. Right. Jim says, I heard about the mental issues from the water in Rochester. Well, yeah, not quite Rochester, but it all ran downhill. And he didn't believe it till now. Mottway says M80s thrown in the water was fun. Also, yes, for sure. For sure. M80s with the waterproof wicks. It was a better time, guys. It really, the 80s and even a little bit into the 90s, but I think shit started going sideways into the 90s. The first sniffings of bike helmets, I think, was when, if you look back, the shot heard around the world. There's always that event that changes history. There's always that event that changes the tide of what's going on. I really have a feeling that the first inklings of bike helmets for kids was probably the beginning of the end for all the fun we used to have. Canadian Farmstead said my friend that that had to have the BB extracted, he won, quote unquote, won the game. Right, for sure. Yeah. Kids. John Palmer says shit flows downhill and Brian's at the bottom. Guys, still I am. Like, Corey and I were talking the other day. She's like, I think I'm rubbing off on her. I'm not rubbing on her. I think I'm rubbing off on her. And no, I'm not rubbing off on her. I, I think I'm probably giving her some of the bullshit that I'm dealing with. Because the stuff we deal with together and then all the shit that doesn't go sideways on my own, she's telling me that her whole life's going sideways too. So, Rewilder Life says, our kids had a pretty feral life. They look at it fondly. Yeah, there was a lot of, I can't even go down that road. That's not a public conversation, I don't think. Max Melbourne over in the vertical feed with the ever posing question: are we looking to Trump or Harris? Who do you like, Max? If you put in the comments, over there who you want to win, why, and you also drop me a super chat, I will give you my opinion on Trump or Harris. How's that? Does that work for you? The Motway said, funny thing is I started riding a bike earlier this year to lose weight and definitely have a helmet. Jack and Jill, big balls, huge balls. Max Melbourne says, I'm from Australia and he hopes Trump wins. Budsville, USA, in with Kamala's a terrorist. I don't see any super chats, guys. I'd be happy to tell you my political leanings. Drop some fucking chat and drop some money in the super chat over there, and we'll talk about who I want to win president. Hunter says, and this is my question: why the hell do people not in this country care about this country's president? I don't know. I coworker number four. So you want to elect a literate whore? What? What is going on? Hunter says, if you send Brian $1 and tell him which candidate you want for president, your vote will count. If you don't send the money, it won't count your vote, and we won't get an official tally. Max Melbourne says, Trump can save the West, so we're all watching from overseas. Trump is like the prodigal Jesus. Budsville, USA says Australians will be voting for our president if Kamala had her say. No, she's already got all the fucking Central American and South Americans here to do that for you. We don't need to waste money on the Australians. Kangaroos and dingoes. How's the dingo population doing over there, Max? Are they still stealing the babies? The dingo ate your baby. Canadian Farmstead with an ever prominent question: how do you feel about what's happening in the United States right now? If you feel comfortable talking about it, what do you want to know about the United States? Here, I got a story for you guys. I found it. It was in my browser tab. Oh, wait, hold on a second. Hunter with breaking news from Texas. I did hear that it's possible that they're using illegal immigrants to help clean up all the toxic sludge from Hurricane Helene. Budsville says dingoes are on the rise. Babies are at an all-time low. And Max refutes him and says it's the kangaroos that are taking over. Do the kangaroos steal babies? Hunter says it's okay. Hunter, that's not nice. Or are you saying that that's what their theory is? I can't say that. That's not nice. Hunter says, I'm just going to put it on the screen for you watching the video. Oh, wait. You watching the video feed on the main feed. Hunter made a very bad comment. Budsville says Kangaroo Jack for president. All right. Had this story sitting in my browser tab on my phone for a while. I had come across it and I wanted to mention it. I don't know why. I don't know why this one struck me, and it's really sad. And the article unfortunately doesn't really give much of a conclusion. And maybe that's why it stuck into my head, because I just started pondering I just started pondering the possibilities of what happened here. But this was from The Blaze. It popped up in my Facebook feed from back in my days where I gave a shit, and I just have not unfollowed The Blaze. Says the headline is "Loving Dad Mangled to Death in a Tent so gruesomely that friends thought a bear did it, but it's being called a homicide." That was the headline. Victim suffered multiple chop wounds, including to his skull. Friends discovered a Montana father brutally mangled to death in his tent. In fact, the victim was so gruesomely mutilated that the friends thought that a bear mauled him. However, police say the loving dad was not killed by a bear, and they're calling it a homicide. It goes on to say that on Saturday morning, the friends hadn't seen their buddy, hadn't showed up since Friday, and they went looking for him and found him in his tent in Big Sky, Montana. He was so gruesomely mauled that they figured a bear got to him. And police showed up, and they had bear mauling experts on site that said, no, not a bear. It's a homicide. And then the article ends. No information of why. No, like, oh, because we determined that this, that, and the other thing. We found footprint. Like nothing. Just yeah, it wasn't a bear. What has happened to journalism? Do you guys remember taking journalism in like school? Jesus. Viz Nodality wants a shout out for some. I don't do shout outs. If you, I will consider reading a message if you drop some cash in the super chat. There's good questions coming in here. Budsville says bears are dangerous. Large gay men can be violent. That is a subculture of the gay men, I believe. Bears and cubs. And Hunter says, does it still count as a homicide if a not human did it? Well, and that's a question. That's a great question. That's a great question. And is suicide considered homicide because you're killing someone? Canadian Farm says at least they got to the punchline. Wendigo. But that's just been that story. So dude goes in the woods. Was he with someone? Do they like, please give me some more information, because I'll never find out anything more about this. I'll never find out more about what happened to, what was his name here? Dustin Kurzem. I don't know. It's got one of those silent KJ things. KJERSEM. I don't know how to say that. I don't understand how you can put a K and a J next to each other in a word and make that noise. Could you there you go. I will never find out what actually happened to this guy. And they just throw it up there as clickbait and a teaser that some dude got mauled by a bear in his tent. And I find out that some guy killed him. I want to know the details. Did someone wield an axe inside this guy's tent? I'm trying to think of the logistics of swinging an axe inside a tent. I'm thinking about the logistics of how did somebody randomly come across this man in the woods in his tent and decide that he needed to no longer be living? Was this someone that he was familiar with? Was this his lover? I need details of this, and I will never get them. Sorry. John Palmer says no and yes. I imagine that was about the is suicide homicide. Budsville says he was being robbed for baby oil. The diddler did it. That dude had information on Diddy and Epstein. Jim says that would be fun for a jury of your peers. Canadian Farmstead says someone misunderstood the right to bear arms. The diddler, Epstein, and Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton put a hit out on the dude because he was going to reveal information about the diddler and Jeffrey Epstein. John Palmer in with the definition of homicide is human killing human, even oneself. So if you attempt to kill yourself, like if you botch a suicide, can you be charged with attempted murder? Budsville says my mother hates Hillary Clinton. I don't know of anybody that likes Hillary Clinton. I don't even think Bill Clinton likes Hillary. I don't even know if Hillary Clinton likes Hillary Clinton. These guys are saying that you can get charged with attempted murder if you try to kill yourself and fuck it up. So be sure to finish the job. Be sure. Canadian Farmstead says plot twist. Just dug in, found out it was a bear using an axe. Pip says you don't have the right to kill yourself, you tax slave. Right? You don't own your body. You can't do with it what you want. You can kill oh boy. You can kill a fetus, but you can't kill yourself. I don't care about abortion. It's not my problem. Not my problem. Not my uterus, not my problem. Buzzville says that's why we should stop training bears to use axes. Yes. Canadian Farmstead says unless you're a disabled veteran in Canada asking for a ramp, they will offer you assisted suicide. That's why the government was so jacked up about Kevorkian, I'm pretty sure, is loss of tax revenue. Jim says I got an abortion ban ad today in Florida, or today Florida has it on the ballot. Well, you know, the great thing about this, the United States of America, is if Florida bans abortion, I'm guessing California won't. That was the original intent of the United States. Was each state kind of goes its own way, and the citizens can migrate to states that they align with. I'm pretty sure that was how it was supposed to work. Maybe the federal government wasn't supposed to be doing jack shit except making sure the states don't get fucked over by another country. Anyway, let's move on. A little bit about Bitcoin. Michael Saylor. So when I go out to the cabin on the weekends, I don't have a ton of I got internet. I got Starlink, and but I don't do a ton of interneting. I do a lot of other shit because I'm out in the middle of the woods and I'd rather not sit there and read stories. And so I don't stay up to date on a lot of stuff. And I got home on Sunday and it was John Palmer says, yeah, we fucked that up. Yeah. Yeah. just a little bit. just a little bit. I got home on Sunday and I saw Noster was just blowing up about Michael Saylor. Wait. Pip says keep getting no on 4 ads. Number 4 is legalized weed in Florida. It's a black lady is complaining it smells bad. Then it ends with don't turn California. Oh God. Canadian Farm says don't jinx Bitcoin again. It's red, dude. Red means buy more. Green means buy more. Hunter says, please tell me he's not some kind of creepy weirdo. We all need a hero. No, I mean, Saylor is what he is. Saylor understands that Bitcoin is a superior store of value than the US dollar. He's a CEO of a major corporation that understands that they were losing money to inflation by holding dollars. He understands that he could buy Bitcoin and store the value of his company. He became champion of Bitcoin. He became like a figure to look up to because he's buying huge sums of Bitcoin, which really spurred confidence in the folks that were putting like what they could into it when he's taking his company's bankroll. I think he became I don't want to throw around false idol, but I think he became a champion for Bitcoin. Jim says, remember when it was 58K, the good old days. I was thinking about that the other day, Jim. Remember when it was like 24K and we went to 28 and everybody was like, fucking holy shit, we're going to the moon. Now it swings like 3-4 grand and everybody's like, well, okay. John Palmer says, bad thing about legal weed in Oklahoma is weed stores literally everywhere. So what? Are they making you go into them? Looney Shrooms over in the video in the vertical feed says, remember that idiot who traded all his Bitcoin for pizza? He didn't trade all his Bitcoin for pizza. Not all of it. So Michael Saylor, and I'll pull up the article here real quick that I dove down. So Noster was kind of blowing up on Saylor and saying that he's a cuck, he's a spook, he's a CIA. Like there was all sorts of nasty shit going on about Saylor. Basically, Saylor said people that want to hold their own keys, people that want to hold their own keys are basically conspiracy theorists. They're worried about the government stealing their Bitcoin, but they shouldn't be. That custodial Bitcoin is okay, that no one has to be afraid of it. And the only way that Bitcoin will have mass adoption is if they go to custodial Bitcoin, like a bank. Whatever. The dude can say whatever he wants. He can support whatever he wants. Let me ask Michael Saylor if MicroStrategy controls the keys to their $1 trillion in Bitcoin. Ask Michael Saylor if he holds all of MicroStrategy's Bitcoin in the BlackRock ETF. I don't imagine they do. I imagine if you talk to the man about Bitcoin, he thinks that self-custody is probably a good idea. But in the interview, he's talking about hold on. This Madison Reid's right Reidys Reid's. She interviews financial people. She's probably pretty famous. I don't know. I don't follow financial news. She asked him if there was any risk posed on those people who prefer to hold Bitcoin with custodians, whether it increases the risk of having their Bitcoin confiscated and seized by the U.S. government in the future. Excuse me. And she referenced the Great Depression when the U.S. government seized all the gold. And it's kind of a loaded question, in my opinion. First thing, when I read the article, I said, this is kind of a loaded question. People that have been in Bitcoin and people that have been in Bitcoin a long time, people that have been in Bitcoin a decent amount of time, understands the statement, not your keys, not your coins. They've witnessed Mt. Gox. They've witnessed exchange get raided. They've witnessed exchange get shut down. They've witnessed what could happen. Not necessarily by the government, but by bad actors. Whether that's the exchange you're on, whatever, bad actors. I consider the U.S. federal government bad actors. I don't think that they have my best interest in mind. Weird. So Michael Saylor got a loaded question. Now, as a pragmatist, wanting Bitcoin to go to the fucking moon, is it easier to onboard people through custodial holding of Bitcoin in, say, an ETF or a something like that, a Coinbase, a bank-like system? Is it easier for mass adoption? And what has to happen for Bitcoin to be ultimately as successful as it should be is mass adoption. So here he is in an interview being asked, well, should people be worried about custodial Bitcoin being seized? What's the thing here? What are we talking? And we're talking to people that have no idea anything about it. So when you talk in Bitcoin circles and you talk to people that know it or have heard of it or have at least explored it a little bit, it's a different conversation than me talking to my mom about Bitcoin or me talking to the guy at the gas station about Bitcoin who barely has ever turned on a fucking internet. So I think he was in a shitty spot. I think that his answer was interesting, and I think it might. And after diving into Nostr, and I'll bring up a comment I saw on Nostr that really made sense to me after the fact. He answered it. He handled it well. Okay. Talk about Bitcoin, Michael Saylor, and the government being a bad actor, and they squelch your internet signal. Weird. So he corrected her in saying that the federal government didn't seize Bitcoin. people voluntarily turned it in. Voluntarily were persuaded to turn it in. And he also pointed out that the fact that the U.S. at that point was on the gold standard, and currently the U.S. is not on the Bitcoin standard, so there's no confiscation thing going on there. Now, I agree to a point, disagree also. Not your keys, not your coins. I'm sticking with it. Self-custody all your own Bitcoin. If you want help and you need to figure it out, or you're wondering about Bitcoin, send me a message. We'll set something up. We'll talk about it. Get yourself a Jade hardware wallet. Put your shit into cold storage. Have a big old savings pile. You guys want me to give one of these away at some point? I got an extra one I need to give away. Larry's bird flew out of Nicole's cage. Oh, Nicolas Cage. Excuse me. Hello to you, sir. So Sailor kind of said, he said, and here is where he fucked it up, because he said only paranoid Bitcoin anarchists fear that Bitcoin can be seized from them. Now, I don't think that is very accurate. I understand that anytime I don't hold my keys, that can be seized from me. It can be stolen from me. It can be seized from me. It can be anything you want to fucking call it. It won't be mine anymore. So I think that was a little bit fucked up. And if being a paranoid Bitcoin anarchist makes me want to hold my keys, then fine, call me whatever the fuck you want. Hunter says, aren't you proving his point? I mean, sure, whatever. That's fine. That's fine. But here's the thing. The comment I saw that made the most sense, and Mark C, as in C as in a body of water, SEA. John Palmer said seized is stolen. A scooter is a sailboat. Name that movie. Mark C, SEA, over on Noster says, and this clicked when he said it. And so I saved it. I wanted to put it in relation to this article. I'm holding my own coins. If that makes me a paranoid Bitcoin anarchist, yippee-doo. A lot of times, just like conspiracy theorists end up being true, paranoid people don't end up being that paranoid. Mark C says the most plausible explanation for Sailor. No, I don't think he's a spook, which I don't think Michael Saylor is working for the CIA or anything like that. Is that he's just acting in his own self-interest. Don't we all? He and his company MicroStrategy have giant bags of Bitcoin, and neither will ever have the anonymous benefits that can come with Bitcoin. So he's saying Michael Saylor is very public about his purchases. He's very public about his holdings. He has to be because of his company. So he spouts narratives like the recent flooding of cold storage, government and tax evasion, etc., because he will simply help his bags with broader acceptance. He's only pumping mass adoption to grow his stack, basically. He's a billionaire. He's getting older, and he has an ego. What CEO doesn't? I think he thinks I can safely make the assumption that he would like to see hyper Bitcoinization within his lifetime and see his strategy justified. As a CEO, he's trained in how to speak to specific audiences. He isn't, and he never was your friend just because he buys Bitcoin and believes it's a superior store of value. So basically, he's saying Michael Saylor's just buying Bitcoin. Michael Saylor understands Bitcoin. Michael Saylor understands the fact that Bitcoin is going to preserve his company's value, its wealth. And before he kicks off, he'd like to see all his craziness into transferring his whole company's war chest into Bitcoin. He wants to see that pay off. It already has, but he wants to be right. Why not? And if going out and saying that it's safe to hold your Bitcoin in custodial accounts makes the price go up 10,000, 100,000, 500,000, and it justifies his strategies as far as preserving his wealth, why not? Is holding Bitcoin ETF inherently bad? Is holding stocks inherently bad? Is everybody that's not holding a hard asset in their safe, in their gun safe, is that bad? Have we functioned? Has the world fallen apart? Different strokes for different folks. I mean, whatever your risk tolerance is, whatever you want to learn and however you want to get out of it, then perfect. I think people, and he nailed it in the end, and he said he isn't and never was your friend just because he buys Bitcoin and believes it's a superior store of value. You can applaud people for making great decisions. It doesn't mean you have to agree with everything they agree with or they think or say. I think when you find someone that keeps making decisions that you agree with, that benefit you, because Michael Saylor buying big chunks of fucking Bitcoin benefits us all. Anybody that owns it. I shouldn't say all. God, I hope everybody in this audience has at least considered buying some Bitcoin. Michael Saylor making major moves, Michael Saylor being a whale, benefits us all. So when he does those things, we kind of fall in love with him. That doesn't mean he has our best interests in mind. I mean, he doesn't. He has his and his company. That's his job. So when people get all bent out of shape, because he did something or said something that doesn't align with them, I think they're just a little starstruck. It's like politicians. Jeremiah says, I've considered buying Bitcoin, still not 100% sure. You get the price you deserve. Isn't that the saying that holds true over and over and over and over? You get Bitcoin at the price you deserve. Take the Ride says, build a business in the counter economy. That's a good idea. Hunter says you also have to talk to people where they're at, right? And he did that. Like, I don't know who this lady is. She looks like she probably does all sorts of fancy interviews. It said that let's see. Where is it? The host of the conversation was YouTuber Madison Reedy, who interviews experts on financial markets. She looks fancy. I think you speak to your audience, and Hunter says, you speak to people where they're at, both mentally and understanding wise, and all sorts of different ways you have to consider who you're talking to. But when you say it, it's public. So the people that don't agree with it are going to come out of the woodwork. John Take the Ride says, accept all sorts of payments, barter. John Palmer says, I can neither confirm or deny any assets I'm holding. I have Bitcoin. I'll tell you I have Bitcoin. I mean, it's public. It's blockchain. I've purchased it. I've received it. And I still have it. That's it. That's it. So. Oh. Jim says, buy high. Don't get high before you buy. Buy high, get scared, sell is not a good strategy with anything, not just Bitcoin. Saylor doesn't scare me. Politicizing it does. He's just looking out for his best interests. It is what it is. It is what it is. Politicizing Bitcoin. Look what it's done in China. How many times have they banned Bitcoin in China? It is what it is. I don't know. I think people get way too wound up about what an individual says or an individual thinks. I hope I never have the influence that a statement I make can send a whole social media group into a frenzy. Take the Ride says, I lost all mine. I didn't. I may have lost a lot of it. Being stupid, making mistakes, boating with my cold storage. But no, I got some. How much? I have no idea. Jim says it's not the government. It's one side deciding to not buy because of their party. That happens all the time with all sorts of shit. It's not just Bitcoin. When there... Hunter says, how many firearms and Bitcoin wallets do you think are at the bottom of the lake? Right. So Saylor is who he is. So what if an unknown, so say there's Mr. X. Mr. X might be in China, he might be in India, he might be in England, he might be in Germany, he might be in the United States. I don't know where Mr. X is, but Mr. X silently has amassed thousands of Bitcoins, not thousands of dollars in Bitcoin, thousands of Bitcoin, hundreds of thousands of Bitcoin. Nobody knew what he was. He wasn't public. He wasn't trying to push it. He wasn't trying to do anything. He was just silent. He was just accumulating. And all of a sudden he came out and made a statement like Michael Saylor made. Would the same reaction have happened? Take the Ride says, OPSEC, be careful broadcasting, you have Bitcoin. I mean, if they want to come after me for like $50, great. I literally do videos on how to use this thing. I have dollars too. I have silver too. I have a little tiny bit of gold that I accumulated along the way. I am not a crypto billionaire. I'm not a crypto millionaire. I'm probably not even a crypto thousandaire. I have Bitcoin. It is what it is. That ship has long since sailed of me saying that I have Bitcoin. That's fine. It's on the blockchain. It's tied to addresses that's tied to me. It's easily discoverable. Rotten Mouse says, really disappointed how Bitcoin turned out. I wasn't wanting it to become a market to be speculated on and then all these shit coins. It's a natural. It's a natural process. That's not what it will be in the end. It is what it is right now. When people see an opportunity to make money, when people see opportunities to increase their holdings, whether that be in Bitcoin or fiat, they're going to take it. Shitcoins are just a function of that. Pip says, wasn't there a dude who claimed to be Satoshi? Wasn't there a dude who claimed he was Satoshi and like 4 governments kicked down his door and interrogated him a few years ago? There's a guy that claims to be Satoshi every so often. Yeah. Did governments kick down his door? I don't know. Was it Craig Wright? Because that guy, he's something else. Rewilder says, I have it, not going to hide it. It is what it is. It is what it is. If you've ever purchased or received Bitcoin at an address that's tied to your information, it's public enough. So if you are going to Coinbase and buying Bitcoin and sending it to a wallet and you think you can take the rides as you can move it through privacy coins and it's lost, you can. Very true. Have you ever seen anybody actually use that I lost all my guns when they fell off the boat excuse? Has it worked? I don't know. I'm not saying I have or haven't. I know that when my stack is big enough to borrow against, I'm going to want to be able to say I have it. Take the Ride says use a VPN burner, email, and peer-to-peer transactions. That's a fantastic suggestion. I wholeheartedly agree with what you're talking about. I definitely agree with what you're talking about. I think giving that advice to novices are going to give them a false sense of privacy and security, and they could probably get themselves in fucking trouble. Assume that someone knows you have it. And yeah, I'll just leave it at that. Take the Ride is giving some great suggestions in the comments, and we'll just leave it at that. We can talk about it. Anybody that wants to talk about this can message me. Understand what you're doing before you do it. Understand. Yeah, I mean, there's a great function of blockchain. The reason that Bitcoin has the value and the potential that it does is the fact that it's all verifiable. And I understand privacy coins, I understand coin mixing, I understand all of this. But every block that passes just solidifies all the past information. And it gives it another layer of analysis that can be done to find you. I don't even know what the word would be. Just be very, very careful as you start into Bitcoin and realize that there's a lot of things that are public that you probably don't think are public. Take the Ride says not financial advice. Fuck. Bitcoin isn't money, is it? I thought it was just for playing games online. I don't know. Yeah, it's gonna get interesting. It's gonna get interesting. I gotta wrap it up, guys. I gotta get out of here. New podcast is coming along. I actually started. Jim says, I'm hoping the IRS can get back that Monero I lost a couple of years ago. I'll pay any tax they want if they can do that. Right. I mean, there a lot of there were a lot of mistakes made along the way. I'm not saying I haven't lost coin. I'm not saying that I haven't not a tongue-in-cheek lost coin, threw it off the butt. Like there's definitely been lost keys, lost wallets, lost access to wallets, miskeyed when sending it, consolidating it, things, all sorts of shit like that. How do we reconcile it all? The failure of the government to make a hard and fast decision on it has really fucked over the future. Not fucked over, but clouded the future. Pip says, I thought Bitcoin was a limited collector's item. It is. Only 21 million ever produced. New podcast is coming along. Actually started booking recording times. Have to be booked through Podmatch. I don't have the links or anything set up yet. Just to kind of roll it in, but basically going to be releasing 3 episodes a week. It's going to be pre-recorded. It'll come out on a schedule. Not sure if I'm doing video or where the video would be as I record them, but it's going to be about how people got where they're going. My favorite part of the interview shows I did was getting the people's stories. Not necessarily where they're at, cool things they're doing, but how they got there, their ups, their downs, their challenges, their successes, things like that. So that's what I want to do. I want to focus on that. It's going to be 15 to 30 minute episodes, and we'll crank them out, and hopefully it becomes maybe a little thing. So we'll see. But the calendar is up, the Podmatch page is up, the bookings are coming in. We're going to get recording, hopefully start releasing episodes maybe the first week in November. Maybe later. We'll see. We'll see. Jim says, I paid some stupid fees moving it around at the wrong time. Tax that, IRS. Well, and Bitcoin goes up and down too. If you bought at the peak and sold at the bottom, that's a loss. Not financial advice. All right, I got to get out of here, guys. I got a bunch more work to do out at Delinquent Scully today. Tomorrow, I got all day office day, and Thursday we'll have laundry and grocery shopping bumped up to Thursday because we're gonna kick out to the cabin early, and then Friday show from Delinquent Scully. Tune in to see how the Starlink service will be since I cleared a bunch of trees that were in the way. Other than that, I hope you have an awesome day. It's Tuesday. Not really that exciting. Just the second day of the week. We get through today, then we'll be into humpity hump day. Other than that, guys, get a bunch of shit done. I appreciate you. Appreciate hitting the thumbs up, the subscribe, and sharing the show when you can. Jeremiah, have a good one over in the vertical feed. Appreciate you hanging out. Hopefully, everybody has a great day, and we will catch up with you tomorrow.
the light.